muchachos y muchachas. In the early thousands, there was a rapper, her name is m.i.a, and she took the industry by storm. She came on the scene with this really popular song called Paper Planes. You guys might remember this song. It was pretty much everywhere, especially if you were on MySpace and you had these customizable backgrounds and the customizable music. If I can recall correctly, pretty much everybody had this song on their MySpace page. But anyway, and also that's a great thing to mention that, you know, social media was budding and blooming and it was starting to become a thing. And so with that being said, her style was very unique and eclectic, and it was influential, I would say. Well, she had her song, Paper Planes, that was a hit. She had a few other hits as well, but it was really that one song. And then she kind of just disappeared away from the scene. And I always did wonder what the heck happened with m.i.a, because again, she could have been this next big thing, this legend, right? And she just disappeared with no real truth spoken to that. Now, recently she took to Twitter, and she's been controversial on Twitter before, only, you know, coming out with personal things about her, like her coming out and as a Christian, as a Jesus follower. But this time she was coming onto Twitter to name big names. And this is all orbiting around her custody battle for her son. And these names that she dropped were pretty big, such as Jay-Z, Sarah and Claire Bronfman, and these are heiresses to the Seagrams, you know, fortune, also infamously associated with the cult headed by Keith Raniere, NXIVM. You know, the list goes on. Well, Claire and Sarah Bronfman have, I believe it's a nephew in which m.i.a was, you know, at one point associated with, had a baby with, and their nephew, Benjamin Bronfman, is a billionaire. Now, m.i.a just took Twitter by storm and basically, you know, aired out her frustrations about this custody battle and all the strings that these people seem or allegedly are pulling to keep her away from her son. And this rabbit hole ended up connecting to other people such as the Clintons and AOC and all these crazy little connections. So of course, when I get this illustrated out, I'm pretty sure you're going to want to know about it. So with that being said, hold on to your butts, secure your wigs, stay right there. We're going to go through. We just had a nationwide cell phone service outage. When the world collapses, will you collapse with it? You can feel it coming. All the signs are there. When it comes to financial disaster type budgets and sacrifice, plan for the worst with the best. My Patriot Supply. My Patriot Supply has helped millions prepare. They'll help you too. Hard times take years to recover from. Make that first year easier with their 1-year emergency food kit. Get it now with $700 in savings at my website, preparewithnatalie.com. Sealed inside the ultra durable packaging, these delicious meals last up to 25 years in storage and provide over 2,000 calories every day. Start preparing by going to preparewithnatalie.com. That's preparewithnatalie.com. All right, before I begin, yes, I am under the weather. I am recovering from the cuckoo cocoa virus, which is just horrible, by the way. So if I sound like a silly duck or a croaky frog, I apologize. I'm trying to get back into this, and I definitely don't want this to delay me even further than I already have been with my video. So anyway, just to let you know. Anyway, let's go through the tweets, the slew of tweets that m.i.a published the other day. And then from there, I'm going to kind of expand on each and kind of illustrate out the rabbit hole as we go on. But I'll show you where I started off. So she started with this. Biden won't let me see my child. The longest processing is meant to be 2 months, and it's already been that. And what she has a part or, you know, as an attachment to this tweet is what seems to be a screenshot of an email basically reiterating that she is ineligible for her processing or for the, you know, the extent of the processing. Now she continues to tweet, I'm not allowed to see my child for stealing food at 18 when I was poor, yet your government is okay with my child being with family convicted for child T-wording and SEX cults. Okay. The difference between me and migrants coming in is that I can't vote. I'm paying US taxes too. Sick. Okay. Now, like I said, I'm going to continue to expand on this. I'm going to give you some quick commentary on each tweet, but then we'll elaborate a bit further. Now, in this tweet, it does seem to be that she's very frustrated with the U.S. system, and what's happening current day in 2024 is that there is a border crisis. And with that crisis comes a lot of confusion, a lot of convoluted policies and rules that seem to change on the flip every day for, migrants crossing over. And I think and this is just my opinion, I'm not sure 100% that this is what she means, but from what I read out of the frustration of this tweet is that she is basically frustrated that she pays taxes and she contributes towards the U.S. economy, and yet people who come over, the border, just, willy-nilly, they are granted privileges that maybe U.S. Americans, U.S. citizens are not necessarily granted, but also people who have been here and who are, building onto their processing or they're waiting for their processing very diligently, don't necessarily get those privileges. That's just my take, my personal take. Anyway, let's go on. Okay, so she then continues with the tweet. I have shown support for Julian, that's Assange, for 14 years, and I have been to the USA many times. The only thing different this time is I called for a ceasefire and spoke out against genocide and ethnic cleansing. And I'm forced to pick between my child and speaking up for what's right by God. Okay. So just so you know, she has been seen supporting Julian Assange throughout the years. She has been to his court proceedings, all these things, protests. So, from what I sense, she's probably saying that she's being targeted for that, but also speaking against the conflicts going on in the Middle East as we see it. Then she continues, my first custody battle was 2013. My child was 4. I was managed by Jay-Z, who ultimately was paid by the Bronfmans. We're going to get into all of this, who the Bronfmans are, who Jay-Z is, and her label attachments, all that. I sacrificed my career for my child. They ripped me off and copied my style and gave it to their puppets and shadow banned me on every platform. But it was worth it to save him from the madness of what you know. Then she continued, and this is where it gets a little bit hairy. It says Hillary Clinton gave Sarah Bronfman Gaddafi's oil fields after him. I was punished for saying he helped Africa. Then they tried to send my child to one of her schools. When I went to visit the school, the children looked dozy and drugged, and I couldn't tell why. I refused. And then she shares a screenshot of, what NXIVM was or is. The day I served for my child, Rock Nation stopped all communication with me, and all my emails to Jay-Z asking for help was wiped from my inbox. I believe something was missing here. Something was broken into and every lap was taken. I was trapped in Brooklyn on order served that restricted me leaving Brooklyn for 15 years. Then continued, I had, once in Texas in 2008. I wish my fight for my child was just with random dad, but not the entire cesspool of U.S. government and all global banking institutions. And now Israel's war and military industrial complex and a bunch of P words like how. And then m.i.a makes an accusation where she says, Aurora James my child without my permission. They manipulated my child by lying to a 12-year-old, pretending to be his mom of cause. If it's not your own child, you don't care how you can psychologically damage a child with mental games. She, Beyonce, and Solange are friends. And then she says, again, they, poked him in the arm with the juice, even after calling me an anti-whatter and humiliating in the press for a good 2 years and canceling my latest m.i.a. record from all promo and touring. Again, sacrificing another LP, yet they still, poked her son in the arm with the juice at 12 to get to me. All right, so let's come back to this tweet. I'm not allowed to see my child for stealing food at 18 when I was poor, yet your government is okay with my child being with a family convicted for child T-wording and cult's okay. The difference between me and migrants coming in is that I can't vote. I'm paying US taxes too. So what she is referring to back in 2013, and this is interesting because as I was searching, for this article, Page 6, which is associated with the New York Post, actually deleted this article. Why they did that, I never know why. But you guys know that the internet is forever. I was able to find the article. So March 14th, 2013, Page 6 actually published this article detailing out that m.i.a. and her then baby's father, Benjamin Bronfman, were at a scat. They were separated, and now there was a battle ensuing. It says that m.i.a. was banned by a court from taking her and Benjamin Bronfman's son out of Brooklyn, where they live separately following their split. And then it's quoted saying, m.i.a. has been texting, calling Ben, saying she will take their son to London, even though they both live in Brooklyn and the child goes to school there. Ben filed a motion for a temporary restraining order preventing her from taking her son to the UK against his wishes. Now, let me illustrate out who Benjamin Bronfman is. Now, this guy right here, his name is Edgar Bronfman Jr. He is the son of the late Edgar Bronfman Sr. and the heir of the Seagram fortune, right? He was also a former CEO to Warner Music Group. Now, he is the brother of Sarah and Claire Bronfman, okay? And you guys might recognize that infamous name, but they were basically associative with the NXIVM. Not only just associates, they were like high-ranking, bankrolling, high-level people of this entire cult. And they even bankrolled people like the Dalai Lama to endorse them. So they're pretty big deals here. So that's who she's referring to with the whole cult remark, because they are now infamous for being, associative with this SEX cult. Okay, back to Edgar Bronfman Jr. Now, he was formerly married to a woman named Sherry Brewer Bronfman, and she was actually an actress. She acted in the movie Shaft in 1971 or no, 74, I think 1971. And they both created Benjamin Bronfman. Now, Benjamin Bronfman had this relationship with m.i.a. It looks to be that they first started the relationship in 2000, I want to say 7, 8, 9. I believe it was 2008. And you can see that there are some pictures of them on the red carpet together. So they were actually in a relationship. Which brings me to this tweet. I kind of want to just mention this, where she mentions she had, in Texas once in 2008, and that she wishes that the fight was just with the dad and not this whole, circle of elites, right? And essentially it is because of all the people that he's connected to. We're going to get to that part. Now, as I was looking through pictures, it doesn't look like they were just like, what one hit wonders, we'll just put it that way. It does seem to be that they were in a relationship. She's clearly pregnant on the red carpet. He's with her hand in hand. I even found a picture of her with the baby and him walking, so I just wanted to mention that piece from my observations. Okay, so let's bounce to the next tweet, where she states, my first custody battle was 2013. My child was 4. I was managed by Jay-Z, who ultimately was paid by the Bronfmans. All right, so I found this part really interesting because Jay-Z and the Bronfmans being connected in any way you would never imagine, right? And so I kind of started going down this rabbit hole here. Now, I mentioned that Edgar Bronfman Jr. was actually a former CEO of Warner Music Group. And I did find this article on the website, Warner Music Group's website, where it mentions a merger or an agreement between Jay-Z, Roc Nation, and their subsidiary, Warner Chappell. So it reads, Jay-Z and Roc Nation enter into global music publishing administration agreements with Warner Chappell Music. And in the first, little paragraph snippet here, you can already grab the entire context of the connection, where it says Warner Chappell Music, the music publishing arm of Warner Music Group, today announced that it was entering into a global music publishing administration agreement with 17 Grammy winner and multi-million selling superstar Sean Jay-Z Carter and the music publishing roster of an entertainment company, Roc Nation, which is the home of some of the world's top songwriters, artists, and producers. Okay, so you guys get it. Warner Chappell Music, agreement with Roc Nation, which is, Jay-Z's deal. And he was managing m.i.a. at that time, right? Now, again, she mentions that basically Jay-Z was being paid by the Bronfmans. I could definitely see that influence between the Bronfmans and Jay-Z because, again, Edgar Bronfman Jr. was the CEO of Warner Music Group. His sisters are Sarah and Claire Bronfman. So right after this tweet, she made another remark in a short tweet where she mentions, be very clear why my m.i.a record was buried in 2013, which had me scurrying through another little rabbit hole as well. So just to paint you guys context of this bigger picture of Jay-Z, Warner Music Group, and all that. Now, in 2012, I found this tweet right here where Roc Nation tweeted their introduction to m.i.a and her signing. So Roc Nation, May 24th of 2012, tweeted this. The nation just keeps on growing. And then they mention m.i.a Universe, and then they link an Instagram post. Now this Instagram post shows m.i.a, and this is basically an introduction to her signing with Roc Nation. Now later on, m.i.a would go to Twitter and tweet her separation between her and Roc Nation, where it reads, December 31st, 2013, I deleted old tweet bringing you this. I'm leaving Roc Nation. Thanks to everyone who supported the m.i.a Matangi LP. Happy New Year 2014. And the next day, on January 1st, 2014, New Year's Day, she tweeted, m.i.a for the people, by the people, looking for young people to work in fields of art production, music, merch, film, web, marketing, send CV, send, credentials, whatever. Now, just to clue you in on the difficulty and I guess the static of this whole production of her record, there were some postings of some, notices, I will say, by one of her former producers who actually was trying to work with Roc Nation to keep the ball rolling on the production, where, he did reach out and nobody really gave him any clear insight as to how he can keep the ball rolling, when, what. And so he went ahead and leaked a trailer for the album. And when he leaked the trailer, he was copyrighted. This is what you see in front of you, where basically YouTube told him that the material was from a third party. And so one of the people at Roc Nation reached out and basically said that, they acknowledged the difficulty and the frustration of the product. You guys can pause this video if you want to read the whole email. I'm not going to read it out to you, but I'm just going to summarize it, that they acknowledged the, frustration, but, that this leak was not acceptable, and that he should stand by for more communication. Now, Stephen Loveridge actually replied back to this person from Roc Nation and said, "Hi, redacted name. I really couldn't give a flying, bomb, count me out. Would rather die than work on this. Nothing personal," smiley face. And then he signs with an S. Okay, so let's go ahead and progress through the rest of the tweets, where the next one reads, "I sacrificed my career for my child. They ripped me off and copied my style and gave it to their puppets and shadow banned me on every platform. But it was worth it to save him from the madness of what you now know, or know now." So I was just poking around. I was actually personally wondering which musicians copied her style, or, rather they gave the style over to the musicians. And I found on Vibe magazine, they're alluding to Rihanna. They think that she's talking about Rihanna because she was one of the musicians that came after her. Now, I don't know if that's true, right? But I could definitely see where it could be frustrating for an artist to come in with their own unique style and then for it to be handed off. I definitely believe that happens for sure. All right, so progressing to the next tweet where it reads, Hillary Clinton. Okay, she name drops Hillary Clinton and Sarah Bronfman. Okay, if you know anything about the two, you know that these are very controversial names to put together, and coming from the perspective, the point of view, and the knowledge, the personal knowledge of m.i.a, I knew that there had to be some unique angle here for her to even throw this in a tweet. Okay, now Hillary Clinton, you guys know who Hillary Clinton is. Sarah Bronfman is a sister that is part of the Seagram's fortune. I did mention earlier that they are very much affiliated with NXIVM. They were bankrolling NXIVM, buying them the Dalai Lama visit, basically funding this entire cult. And, her mentioning that she was close to Hillary Clinton had me looking very closely. So let me read it out. It says Hillary Clinton gave Sarah Bronfman Gaddafi's oil field after K'ing him. I was punished for saying he helped Africa. They then tried to send my child to one of their schools. When I went to visit the school, the children looked dozy and drugged, and I couldn't tell why. I refused. Okay. There's a lot. Okay. There is a lot packed into this one tweet. So I just want to break everything down. All right. So let's start off with the first thing. Hillary Clinton gave Sarah Bronfman Gaddafi's oil fields. Okay. After he was deleted. Now, this is what I found. And I'm because of how politically charged everything is right now. I'm not going to be the expert on geopolitics, but I just thought that I'd drop this headline and you guys can do your own research on this, but I thought that this was controversial enough, right? So this is from the Niagara Reporter. Sarah Bronfman's husband, Basit Igtet, has ties to terrorists and cult leader Raniere. Okay, so I thought that was interesting. And Basit Igtet was rumored to want to take over Gaddafi's rule, right? So that's just an allegation. I don't know that that's true. Again, I'm not saying that I'm a geopolitical expert, but I think that that's quite startling that her own husband wanted to, take Gaddafi's place. And I think that is controversial enough, and that already gives weight and merit to m.i.a.'s little tweet, right? Then I was interested in the Hillary Clinton connection. And I found this really old article by the New York Post where it basically spells out that Hillary Clinton's campaign, her 2008 campaign, was pretty heavily fundraised by NXIVM themselves. Okay, so it reads right here, Hillary's $30,000 fans are her cult following. And they say cult following, right? A purported pyramid scheme operator who was run out of Arkansas when Bill Clinton was governor has reinvented himself as the head of Upstate Group, accused of being a cult, and his devotees have pumped thousands into Hillary Rodham Clinton's presidential run. And then it reads, executives and top associates of the Albany-based NXIVM group, along with their family members, donated $29,900 to Clinton's presidential campaign, according to federal records. That's pretty punching enough that NXIVM, the sex cult, was such a fan of Hillary Clinton that they, as a cult, by associates, of course, donated a total of $29,000, close to $30,000 to Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign. All right. But not only that, it doesn't just stop there. They weren't just fans of Hillary Clinton. Listen to this. Hillary isn't the only Clinton NXIVM officials are attracted to. At least 3 of them, Group President Nancy Salzman, the Bronfman sisters, are members of Bill's charitable organization, the Clinton Global Initiative. Membership is by invitation only and requires at least a $15,000 donation per person for 1 year. All right. So they weren't just in it for Hillary. They were invited by Bill Clinton himself to be part of the CGI group, the Clinton Global Initiative, and they had to pay a whopping $15,000. Of course, this is chump change for heiresses such as the Bronfmans, but I thought that connection was really wild, and it all came from m.i.a.'s tweet. Okay, so we're still hovering over the Bronfmans, right? So she mentioned before that they would rather award a family that is associated with this NXIVM infamous cult activity than her, the mother. Kind of keeping in theme with that, her tweet, then this next tweet reads, "The day I was served for my child, Rock Nation stopped all communication with me, and all my emails to Jay-Z asking for help was wiped from my inbox. My something was broken into and every lap was taken. I was trapped in Brooklyn on order served that restricted me leaving Brooklyn for 15 years. Now, as I continued my research, I excavated this very old slew of tweets from m.i.a. in 2013, where it seems to be that when she was ordered to stay in Brooklyn, or rather this was a restraining order that was filed by her baby's daddy. In March of 2013, she expressed her frustration where she tweeted, "Ben," who is Benjamin Bronfman, "Ben, you can't take my son away from me, the mother. Just because you have money doesn't mean you have the right." Then she tweeted, "Wow, the Bronfmans want to take my child away from me. What kind of S is that? They never see him. And then every child needs the mother. I grew up without a dad. If I grew up without my mother, I wouldn't be here." Okay, so I thought that this was especially very, very monumental in this whole fight, right, in Twitter. And if we didn't expand on these tweets that she tweeted like a week ago, and we didn't do the due diligence to look further, like, people would just think that this is just a family scuffle. But really, when you dig deeper, you see that she's been actually fighting this battle, exhibitive, at least by 2013, by tweeting all this. Now, I tied this back. So she was calling out the Bronfmans back in 2013. This was not just a 2024 scuffle. So I found this old article here where it mentions this custody battle. It says that the Daily Mail reported that m.i.a. and Benjamin Bronfman first met in 2008. Their child was born the following year. And then in 2012, Benjamin and m.i.a. were separated in 2012. And an insider revealed at the time that the pair resided separately in London and New York while their son was staying with Benjamin, his mother, Sherry, and was looking after the kid, as per New York Daily News. Okay, so that all just really, again, just paints a whole picture. Now, I'm not sure about Sherry. She might be just a very, loving grandmother, and she's just looking out for the child. But, what m.i.a. is saying in her parade of tweets is not necessarily wrong. She's frustrated, and it seems to be that she was crying out to the public for help. All right, so let's illustrate out another very powerful political connection that this very powerful family seems to have. She then tweets out, "Aurora James poked my child in the arm with the juice without my permission. They manipulated my child by lying to a 12-year-old, pretending to be his mom. If it's not your own child," I think she meant, of course, "if it's not your own child, you don't care how you can psychologically damage a child with mental games. She, Beyonce, and Solange are friends." And then she progresses to tweet, "Again, they poked him in the arm with the juice, even after calling me an anti-vaxxer and humiliating me in the press for a good 2 years and canceling my latest m.a.a. record for my promo and touring, again sacrificing another LP, yet they still poked my child in the arm with the juice at 12 to get at me." Okay, Aurora James, right? So I, of course, looked up Aurora James. This seems to be Benjamin Bronfman's now significant other. And as I kept looking, it seemed to be that this woman, Aurora James, is a fashion designer. She's involved with the fashion industry. And then as I kept looking and looking, I was startled to find out. You guys remember this very infamous Tax the Rich dress that AOC wore to the Met Gala, which seemed to be that this whole thing is so ironic. Okay, let me just start at one point. So AOC wears this infamous dress and went viral, and it was actually Aurora James that designed this dress for AOC. Not only did she design the dress for AOC for this Met Gala, but they actually went on a double date to the Met Gala. It reads here on a Daily Mail headline, "What did he think of AOC's Tax the Rich statement? Socialist firebrand went to the Met on a double date with billionaire Seagram's heir Benjamin Brofman, despite her famously wanting to get rid of billionaires." Okay, so ironic, the irony doesn't stop there, by the way, but it's so ironic that she wears this dress that says Tax the Rich, who is, designed by Aurora James, who is on the arm of Benjamin Brofman, a billionaire heir, or I don't know if he's an heir, honestly, I don't know that at the top of my head, but he's associated with this, this big, powerful family, the Seagram, fortune. But not only that, Aurora James, the designer and the name-dropped person in m.i.a.'s tweet, was also in debt troubles. It says here, AOC's Tax the Rich dress designer Aurora James owes debt in multiple states, right? So it's just like the irony, but also like what I wanted to point out is the major connection that they have to all of these political players, Hillary Clinton, AOC, and now you can kind of see where m.i.a. is coming from. She's not just fighting the system. She's not just fighting the baby daddy, which, regularly normal everyday people would, but she's also fighting this entire system of the music industry, sacrificing her career. You can see how strings could be pulled. I'm not saying they are pulled, but they could be pulled by these political players, and not just any people. These are very powerful politicians, right? So I just wanted to illustrate that out to you guys, that this is a much bigger story than what we see on Twitter. And all it took was a rabbit hole. So I hope you guys enjoyed this whole thing. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Definitely give me suggestions on, if this prompts another rabbit hole for you, or if this prompts an idea. Let me know in the comment section below, or you guys can send me an email right here. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I will catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.